Okay, we'll do it live, everyone. We're doing it live. I hope that wasn't too loud.
No.
Anyways, hey, we're back and we're here to talk about the first episode of the Loki series and episode 7 of The Bad Batch. Yeah, and then we'll talk as we usually do about what we've been watching. Um, I got I was able to increase the good kid counter by 1 this week, so I talk a little bit about that
Excellent.
later. But I think we're gonna start with Loki. So we'll get right into this. Did you like this, Josh? What was your overall impression of this first episode?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Definitely different than other types of Marvel things we've gotten so far in like maybe subtle ways. So, but yeah, we can totally get into that.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so we get in the beginning we get like a short little recap of what happened to Loki in Avengers Endgame. He for those that don't remember, he was able to pick up the Tesseract and escape from 2012. So this version of Loki is 2012 Loki. So this version of Loki has not experienced anything past Avengers 1. So he hasn't experienced Thor 2, he hasn't experienced Thor Ragnarok, he hasn't experienced Avengers Infinity War, where unfortunately he died. So it's a little bit of a would you backwards rewinding the clock on his character, I guess, and his personality. He hasn't had as much of a redemption yet.
Like a prequel.
Kind of like a prequel. Yeah. I don't know. It got kind of confusing at some points because he was showing him. I remember there was one part where Owen Wilson was showing him like the events that happened in Avengers 1, and I'm like, well, this isn't really a recap for him. This just happened like yesterday. you know.
That's true. Yeah.
So I said he must be like his mind must be going nuts right now. But anyway, yeah, so he gets picked. He ends up in like Mongolia, and he gets picked up by the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. These are the new big organization that is in the forefront in this series, and yeah, they have no problem taking him out or disabling him and taking them back to their facilities for quote unquote processing. And I was just like, I was just laughing like crazy at some of these parts just because like it's just like so wacky and like he was just so like a fish out of water. I just thought some of this stuff was hilarious, like asking for him to take a number and things
Yeah.
like that. And then when they took his clothes off by that like
Yeah,
little
yeah.
machine, that was I thought it was
It's
hilarious.
like, are you a robot?
He's like, wait, what would happen if I am a robot? It's like, well, it would like blow you up or something. I forgot.
Melt, yeah, like melt you down or whatever.
Melt you down and blow you up. Yeah, melt you from the inside out. Yeah. Anyway, um, yeah. So during the processing, he finally gets a little bit of a exposition, I guess, for both him and us in this like Jetson style '60s cartoonish video. And this one is also kind of funny and just like the tone. But it basically outlines that some beings called the Timekeepers run this place. Well, they're in charge of this place. So we shouldn't say they run this place. The running is more towards the middlemen and the low rank and file like Owen Wilson and all the other characters. But we get this concept of the sacred timeline, like the main timeline that I guess that we are familiar with in the Marvel movies and everything. So I'm going to ask you, Josh, is there any backstory in the comics for these Timekeeper dudes and the Time Variance Authority? What's their deal? What's going on here?
There is a backstory. I haven't read it, so I'm pretty useless here. Sorry.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine. Then we get to figure it out together.
Yeah, for sure. Now I want to go read the comics.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why they make these, right? To make us want to read more comics, right?
Yeah, but since we're introducing this concept and we're talking about it, let's discuss it a little bit, like the sacred timeline. So I'm assuming the sacred timeline is everything that we have seen in the main Marvel movies and up until this point and through Avengers Endgame. Um,
Right. So they make a when Loki sees the Avengers time traveling in Endgame, he's like, "What about them?" And I think Owen Wilson says that was supposed to happen. In other words, that was part of the sacred timeline. While Loki's shenanigans,
yeah,
interestingly though, are not. But it's a little weird, right? Because Loki wouldn't be there unless the Avengers went back in time uh to the Chitauri invasion.
yeah. So I've seen this discussion and exactly what you just said. A lot of people discussing it online and stuff, and I agree. It's kind of confusing. And I also kind of compare it to it's kind of like uh, the writers like giving a middle finger to all the doubters, like that are like, oh, that doesn't make sense. It's kind of like the Doctor Strange line in Infinity War, right? Where he's like, he saw 14 million possible timelines. This is the only one where they win, so everything that happens had to happen that way for them to win, which is kind of like the writers giving you like a meta joke saying like, well, it can't happen any other way because it's the only way it happens.
In all
So
the other timelines, Loki gets taken by the Time Authority.
I don't
How does that
know.
work?
I don't know. It seems like he's not in. Actually, I would argue that he's not in any of those timelines because it's not supposed to happen. But I don't know. You could talk. You could go in circles with this all day long, right?
We can, and we will.
We can and we will, as we always do. um. Anyway, we're after this, we're introduced to Owen Wilson's character, who is Mobius. His name is Mobius. And his introduction is actually kind of unique. I kind of like this scene in 1549 France, so some 4/500 years ago. And he's investigating the slaughter of some of his TVA agents, and he finds a local kid, like we're assuming a kid from that time period, and the kid in this church, and he asks the kid who did this, and the kid points to this picture on the church window. What did you think of this picture? Because it looked like a red Cthulhu slash Satan-y kind of thing is what I saw. Did you have any
Oh,
thoughts on that?
well, they kind of tell us at the end, right?
Well, I want to talk about that at the end too, because I have some doubts on that.
So
What did
I'm
you think
sure.
before you saw the end? What did you think at the time that the kid pointed it in the episode?
Well, isn't it obvious? It's Mephisto. No, but it could be anything, right? It's like a red demon figure with horns. Like we've got a ton of those.
Okay,
So I didn't really like have any expectations before the cliffhanger at the end.
so Mephisto, for anybody who doesn't know, was who again? He's like the Marvel version of the devil, is it?
Y- Basically, yeah, he's the god of the underworld as such. So, he's a Spider-Man villain. He goes back and forth with Ghost Rider, for example, because Ghost Rider, I guess Ghost Ghost Rider is the spirit of vengeance. I hope I'm explaining this right. So technically, he's from hell. So like, it's weird. Anyway, yeah, Mephisto's like the devil.
Okay, so I saw interestingly enough, I saw an article with an interview with the Loki showrunner, and he said somebody had asked him specifically about Mephisto, and he said, actually, Loki is the devil of our show, not Mephisto.
What
So,
is
I mean, take that with a grain of salt. Like, obviously these showrunners and insiders would lie if somebody figured out the twist ahead of time.
Yeah,
Um,
no more Mark Ruffalo, right?
yeah. Um, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So anyway, and we could just be reading too much into it. Maybe Loki put on a funny mask. We don't know. So, um, anyway, we jump back to like Loki. He has this hearing with the TVA. with what is the lady's name? I think her name was like Renslayer. She's like his
Oh,
judge.
I did not catch the name. I don't. I'm pretty sure it was not in the
Yeah, I don't think it was in the episode. I think I
subtitles.
read it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but and then she said, as you pointed out, because Loki objects and he says, like, you should blame the Avengers for this because if they didn't do the time traveling thing, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have grabbed the Tesseract.
right.
Um, and so
Because it's true.
yeah, it basically is. But
Loki
you
did
know,
nothing wrong.
but I mean, her excuse is that the Avengers, what they did was supposed to happen. What Loki did was not supposed to happen. So I think, well, okay, well, let's talk about that for a sec. So according to her, what should have happened? He should have just not picked up the Tesseract and gotten, and then everything would have proceeded as normal. He would have been arrested by Thor and brought back to Asgard.
Okay, so you ready for my tinfoil hat theory?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Mobius. Do you know what a
Tinfoil hat.
Mobius strip is?
Yes, actually, isn't that what Tony was looking at in Endgame? It's like one of those impossible thingies, but it also has to do with like time travel. It's
Right.
like a 2D representation of a 3D object that's impossible. I think. Am I right?
Uh, I, I know I am more familiar with it as a loop.
Okay.
Uh, that's an impossible loop. So basically, it's a one-sided loop, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, uh, but in terms of storytelling, and how I predict it will be used, our character Mobius is not what he seems. He is also a time traveler, maybe undercover. Maybe he is Loki as well in disguise. We know that Loki can disguise himself, although magic is not allowed. Uh, I'm sure Loki can find a way around that. So uh, I think my wild harebrained theory is that this demon Loki who's going around uh, destroying the what's it team
TVA. Yeah.
TWA TVA.
TVA.
Was
Yep.
not TWA, not the airline. uh, he is frustrated because he is in a loop. He's constantly getting arrested for breaking the timeline, constantly escaping and trying to break free, and that's why he's collecting those like reset bombs. Um, and that's why Mobius helps him out because he is Loki. It's all part of the plan and his efforts to break free. Um,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so
I wanted to talk about this at the end, but okay. Have you seen the movie Predestination?
predestination. No, I don't think so.
Okay, because what you just described is basically the plot of Predestination. Sorry, spoilers for people.
No, no.
Um, you should totally watch it, and you should watch it with your wife, and you guys should watch it when you're drunk or high or something, because it is just the most mind blowing movie ever. But sorry, that's a tangent and a sidetrack. I getting ahead of myself. Please continue.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it. So, but I forgot what the question was. I think
This was your tinfoil hat theory. That
so yes. So the answer to why why do they arrest him for taking the Tesseract and doing something, quote, he's not supposed to do? Uh, it's a paradox. He by being arrested, he violates something. He escapes the TVA and starts wrecking the timeline, but that only happens because he got arrested. So they arrest him again. And yeah, that's my answer.
okay. All right. That is a good way to set up the conflict, but I don't know how they're gonna get out of that. So he's like trying to
So
collect the
Loki,
reset bombs, and then he's like, maybe if he sets off enough bombs at once, he can like reset the entire universe. Is that what you're thinking?
so what will happen is Loki will confront his future self and convince his future self to make a good decision and end the loop.
In that way, and the loop being sacrificing his future self. His future self will sacrifice himself.
Yeah, something like that.
Uh, in the vein of like Looper, the movie.
I don't remember Looper. Looper comes up a lot on the internet. I don't remember the plot. Although I've seen it, I don't remember the plot of Looper.
Okay.
But if you're saying it's the same thing, then sure.
Okay. Similar things.
Cool, cool, cool.
Okay.
So, I think there are other stories about that confronting your future self, right? There was an anime, one of the Fate animes. That's the big reveal is that the villain and the hero are the same person.
Okay. Um, is that like you said fate like Fate?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I've
I-
heard of that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard of that.
it's
There's like a
either
bunch of games with that too, right?
yeah, yeah, and then it's it's pretty convoluted. So
Okay.
don't recommend it as casual viewing. You have to be serious about it.
Oh, okay. um, okay, I'm gonna move on. Mobius takes Loki into like this interrogation room. Um, by the way, all of the architecture on the inside of this TVA facility, it looks like it somebody barfed up like the Mad Men set, the Mad Men production set or something. I don't know. It's just it has a very purposeful '60s vibe, which they obviously meant to do, and like with the cartoon, it was like very Jetsonsy, the
hmm
Jetsons.
I was
So
reminded of Fallout,
oh, Fallout, yeah, that too, yeah, yeah,
which is in itself like is it a caricature of Americana?
yeah.
I think
Yeah, I think that's the right word. Yep.
so. Yeah, and I think it's meant to evoke like Big Brother, uh, you know, people making decisions for you, that type of thing.
Yeah. Um, and people that yeah, you don't really know who's really in charge. I mean, they said the timekeepers are in charge, but it doesn't seem like that
You don't
yet.
think the timekeepers are actually in charge?
I feel like they're leaving everything else up to somebody else. Like I feel like they're. I feel like when the woman said, "Yeah, they're busy," it's like, yeah, they're being busy. They're not really.
Oh, they're just not there.
Yeah, yeah, they're just like leaving everything. Supposedly everything runs smoothly, but obviously everything is not running smoothly right now, right? Like that's why they're trying to get Loki to help them because
Right.
they got this uh, fugitive Loki on the run.
Well, it's kind of it's like Mobius's idea, right? He seems like a kind of a rogue character, but he's just so out of place. Like how can there be such a thing in the TVA where they're basically mindless drones. They don't really make decisions. Their responses are scripted, literally.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then you have this guy that's like he makes plans, he has schemes, he like empathizes with people in the timeline. So I don't know, it's fishy.
there was like at least two examples of him doing something that was perceived by the other characters as not like traditional or not
Hmm.
conventional. Yeah,
Yep.
which was talking to the kid in France,
Yep.
and then obviously with the decision to try to employ Loki rather than just reset him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I kind of want to talk about when he gives Loki like a replay of his life, and we get like a flashback to when um, Loki impersonated or was DB Cooper. Um, are you familiar with DB Cooper?
No, but I think I understood what was supposed to be happening.
Okay, all right. So I'm kind of like a DB Cooper enthusiast because I don't
Oh,
know. It's like it was real. I found out about it a few years ago and I thought it was really interesting. And he's like supposedly he left from uh, well he's from Portland, but they landed here in SeaTac and then they left from SeaTac and then he was never seen again. So I thought it was hilarious that he was DB Cooper. I thought it was awesome.
wait, this
Um,
is a real person?
this is a real person, dude. It's like
So
it's
he
the most notorious unsolved case in the FBI's history.
so he demanded a ransom, took off in the plane again, jumped out and was never found?
Yep. Okay, so it happens how it happened in the show, where that he gave the flight attendant a note, demanded money. They gave him the money. Landed in or SeaTac. They landed in Seattle. Gave him the money. Then he left with like just a skeleton crew, no more passengers. And then he was supposed to go, he told them he wanted to go to Mexico City, but they said the plane didn't have that range, so they had to stop in, I think it was Reno or somewhere in Nevada. So he said, okay, fine. But then somewhere over Oregon, he bailed with a parachute, and he was never seen again. Um, and
Wow.
they've had like very few clues over the years, and there've been like I don't know, a handful of people claiming to be him, but
Claiming to be him?
yeah. But then like, or rumors and stuff, or other people claiming that they knew who he was, and but like none of it can be substantiated. So it's just become like the most notorious unsolved case in FBI history. And if you have time, you want to read about it on Wikipedia. It's a great read. There's also a number of documentaries. HBO Max just did one on him last year, so you could watch that too. It's really fascinating, and I don't know. It's just I don't know. I'm very fascinated by this character. So when I heard Loki was doing it, I was just, or they were saying Loki was him. I was like, oh, that would make totally sense. That would make a lot of sense, you know. So
Why they never found him?
why they never
Because
found him?
he's the
Because
god of mischief.
yep, he's the god of mischief, and he went back to Asgard. Um, yeah, I think the only thing they ever did was they found a little bit of the money. A kid found it in a riverbed, and it was like $4,000 worth, which is only a fraction. I think he got away with like 200,000 or something.
Oh,
So
I think he died in a tree somewhere, I think is the answer.
yeah, I don't know. They don't know. Uh,
Got eaten by a bear.
if he died with the parachute, you think somebody would have found his body though, right? But I guess
Uh,
the Oregon wilderness is pretty big, so I don't know.
yeah, that's what I'm assuming. He landed in somewhere in the deep dark depths of Oregon.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and just nobody's found him yet. Yeah.
That's a really fascinating story. You think he's alive?
Well, I mean, I think I think he was alive, but it's been a while now. It's like 50 years now, so he could have,
Years.
even if he was alive, he could have died already now.
What, the bills were marked?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think so, because how else would they identify the bills that the kid found?
I mean, it's $4,000 in a riverbed. What? Where else did it come from?
No, I
So,
think they connected it to those bills. So yeah, I think they were marked. Um,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, you can watch the documentary or the read about it on Wikipedia. It's a great way to go down into like a rabbit hole and put like your tinfoil hat on and just have some fun with it.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, it's cool. So anyway, um, they totally didn't even need to put that in there. They just I don't know, just showed you like I guess reminding you that he is the god of mischief and a trickster.
Yeah.
Um, they had this interesting discussion about um, fate versus free will, which is a
Uh-huh.
very common theme in many stories and movies and TV shows and media everywhere. Um, and I thought it was kind of interesting, especially because Loki is like his ego is so massive that of course he's taking the side of like he has free will and everything happens because everything in his life that happens because he has chosen to done these things, and that's what it is. Whereas Mobius and the TVA, obviously they're taking the side of like, well, no, that everything happens because that's how it's fated to happen, basically, you know.
Mhm.
So I thought that was an interesting thing. I feel like that debate gets thrown out a lot, especially in like time travel movies. But this is probably the first time we've seen it in Marvel. So um,
Right. So, you know, and we'll have to see how it plays out, right? Because, Loki has seen his future now. Does that mean he'll go through and make all the same decisions again?
uh, no, probably not. Um, especially when he saw that the decision he made that accidentally, I don't know if it was on purpose or accidentally, but when he got his own mom killed.
Yeah.
Um,
You think he's going to do something different? So, okay. All right. Well, I mean, probably he's not going to change the timeline though. So, what does that mean?
well, yeah, already he's not gonna go down the same route as I guess Prime Loki went. So uh, just by the fact that he is with the TVA right now, um, if you're asking if he was gonna do like all the same things that he saw in the movie of his life, probably not, right? Um, he especially the trying to kill Thanos. I feel like if I saw that about myself, I was like, and then if I went, I was like, okay, don't try to like shank the big purple dude, you know? Try to be a little more, come up with a better plan on that, you know? So, uh, I don't know. Um, you think he would make different choices or not?
Perhaps perhaps the okay, well, couple things. First, perhaps the conclusion of the story will be Loki realizing that everything happens the way it needed to happen, so he chooses to embrace his role, including sacrificing himself to distract Thanos for a second, or whatever was the point of his death on the ship. Um, the other thing to think about is that the Asgardian gods naturally get reborn every so often because that's how they are. They go through Ragnarok, they're reborn, it's a cycle, so on. So they're I don't know. I could see one or both of those happening.
Okay. That hasn't been established yet, though, has that in the MCU? I know that's like a thing in the comics, and
That Ragnarok is a cycle. It'd be
yeah,
really weird. And it's almost like a built-in way for them to reboot.
because
Uh
Ragnarok already happened, though.
yes, but it's it's not like, oh, Ragnarok happened, everything's back to the way it was the next day. It's like a long vicious cycle.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. So they will be reborn, but they'll live a different life, uh, vastly different life. Yes.
Um, let me think about it. So they'll be reborn, and then but the timeline continues to move forward. So um, uh, yeah, and I don't know in Marvel in the comic universe, it's of course it's always different because they're always rebooting, and you can have like a mini cycle. So for example, in Fear itself, uh, Thor fought uh, what's that snake's name? Uh, whatever. The like ancient evil snake that if he fights it, he's destined for both of them to die. He does, and he fights and he dies. And that's like part of the prophecy. At the same time, Asgard had been destroyed, so they were rebuilding on Earth, but then they changed their mind and they went back. So there are ways to like, because remember, it's like a prophecy, an allegory. It doesn't always happen such that like literally Asgard is reborn from the ashes and just like a city pops out of it. You know, Odin is already thousands or however many millennia old at the start of, you know, like Iron Man, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there, but there are ways for Asgard to be reborn in less than literal ways.
Okay. All right. Um, I'm just gonna. I'm gonna say that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna say that won't happen until it happens. Do you know what I mean?
Hey man, believe what you want.
Okay. 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 All right. This is just like okay.
Yeah,
That's too
we're
out
going
there
really
for me.
deep into
Yeah, that's
no,
just
but
too out there for me.
I think there is something to the Asgardian cycle of Ragnarok and uh because they have to recast all these characters eventually, right? And like I said, it's a built-in way for them to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. That's like way ahead, probably. I don't know.
Well, look, he's dead though, right? So if uh, okay, yeah, I don't know. Let me ask you this: do you think there will be a Thor 5?
No.
So you think they're just going to be done with Thor?
Geez, I don't know, dude. There's gonna be Thor as long as Chris Hemsworth wants to do it.
What
um,
if what if he doesn't?
yeah. What if he doesn't? Then there will be no Thor 5. Then you'll just keep going with the other characters with Valkyrie and uh, Jane Foster and all them. I don't know.
Okay, so if you think Chris Hemsworth is gone, there's no way Natalie Portman is signing up for more movies.
Why not?
Uh,
Why couldn't
do
she
you
be
really
the
think
face
she
of the
likes?
franchise?
First of all, she was like, I do not feel like she has a central role in.
Well, she didn't like it because of creative differences. Like she didn't like how her character was being portrayed, which is basically damsel in distress and kind of one dimensional. At least in Thor 2. So like,
So,
obviously, like Taika Waititi is like, revitalized that franchise, and he's probably got a better idea for her.
so do you think if they said, "Look, Natalie, we'll make you Thor, we'll give you the hammer," you think she'll be like, "Yes, I'm down"?
If there's a good script and story for a Thor 5, then yeah. If not, then it'll go to Valkyrie or uh, somebody else.
Or a Beta Ray Bill?
Beta Ray Bill, yeah, do that. Do that. I'd like to see that.
Uh, oh my gosh, my son is awake. Go to bed. Go to bed.
Luke, go
You
to
know what?
bed, Luke.
I'll be right back. Carry on without me.
Okay, all right. I'm just gonna talk then. Um. So anyway, we have. Let me see. Where were we? We
All
kind
right,
of went off on a tangent there. Are you back?
I'm back. Yeah.
Okay, we kind of went off on a tangent there, but I kind of wanted to talk about really quickly about the Infinity Stone joke. Um,
hmm Joke? It's no joke.
it's no joke how it's like it's actually they're actually like a nuisance for that one desk clerk dude. He's just like cluttering the inside of his desk. Um, and he's like, "Yeah, we get these all the time," and he's like acting like they're kind of a nuisance. And I thought it was kind of funny that they did that, but also that was the moment that Loki like finally started taking this whole situation seriously. Because
Yeah.
they played the music, he like stood up and he just kind of looked around and he's like, "This must be the most powerful thing in the universe, like this place."
Right.
Um,
You gotta remember he's been chasing, you know, the power of those stones for so long, and then for it to just be like totally insignificant, it puts him in perspective.
yeah, yep, yep. It kind of like flips his entire reality and world upside down. Um, I thought it was funny that there were multiple stones of like each stone. So there were like different stones from different timelines that were like confiscated from people, I guess.
Yeah.
Similar to how I guess the Tesseract was confiscated from him, but I don't know. It's just yeah, super weird. It makes you wonder like how many other times have they had to do that, with other individuals throughout the history of the universe. I'd like to see like a funny little sketch on that or something.
Yeah, like I'm sure the Red Skull has ended up there, or maybe even Captain America, so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. Good point in those two. Um, so he after that he goes back to the interrogation room and like we talked about, I thought this was brutal for him, and I thought Tom Hiddleston did a great job like emoting while he watched this like 3 minute video of his life because he's like he went through like every single possible emotion. He saw his mom die again. He saw his dad die. We saw him bantering with his brother Thor, and then we watched his death too. So I was like, man, can you imagine? You watch your mom die that you hadn't seen yet. You watch your dad die that you hadn't seen yet. You see your beloved brother, and then you just watch yourself die. I thought that was, oh, jeez. I was like, ugh, that'd drive anybody insane, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, then Mobius kind of catches up with him and asks him to hunt a fugitive variant. And this is where what we've been talking about. He claims that the variant is Loki himself. Um,
Mm.
so I think, Josh, what you are saying, your theory is that this fugitive variant himself is future Loki, like a future compared to this Loki that we know, this 2012 Loki. So
Yep.
he's on the run from the TVA. He's going throughout the timeline trying to wipe out TVA agents, steal their reset bombs, and I guess collect them, so that he can try to do, like, maybe he's trying to do a massive reset, or he's just trying to gather this weaponry so he can use it in some big event that he can escape this fate, I guess.
Yep.
So here's where I would say my thoughts on this are, okay, they've already told, according to Mobius, they've said the variant is Loki. But in both instances where it's supposed to be this character, they don't show us his face. So I was like, why wouldn't they just show us his face? If it was who they say it is, from a story perspective, why wouldn't they just show Loki's face, right? Like, what if it was gonna be Loki? Wouldn't it make more sense from a story perspective to, like, keep the identity secret, not tell present Loki who it is, and then, like, a later episode he finds out it's himself in the future? Like, that wouldn't that be more of, like, a big reveal?
Yeah.
To
I
me, it
think
doesn't really add up.
I think you want something to hook people in the first episode. I think this was supposed to be it. It's like this mystery or
Okay,
whatever.
so they okay, so they just so they just blew their, sorry, wrong. I was gonna say an uncouth phrase, but they jumped the gun, to so to speak,
Yeah,
on the first episode because they want you to be invested in, like, okay, I could
sure.
see that, but also, like, the picture that the kid pointed to, that is most definitely not a picture of Loki. But like you
Are you
said,
sure?
well, like you said, like, Loki, if he's in the regular timeline, then he has his powers back, so he can make disguises at will of himself, right?
I'm Googling the picture because
Dude, it's like a red face. It is not a human face.
oh, let's see.
He looked like a cross between Cthulhu and the devil.
So he's got the horns, which are Loki.
Okay.
Um, sure, it's like a fawn or a satyr. Uh, I think from the horns alone, we're meant to understand. Like you're not supposed to know when you first see it, like, oh, that's Loki. But once you hear them say, like, oh yeah, uh, it's you, Loki, then we're supposed to think back to the picture and say, oh, that was actually depicting Loki.
Okay. I don't buy it yet, but
I
um,
mean, I don't know how much time you spend looking at art in churches, but it's not exactly very realistic.
and maybe the kid was just. I guess it could be just because that was, like, the closest picture, and, like, something had horns and Loki had horns. So he's like, look, it's that guy. He has horns.
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
know.
good point. Like, did they have a did they have time to make a stained glass mural for Loki?
Yeah,
You
or
know?
give the kid a pencil and paper and, like, here, draw who you saw or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, I don't know. I still think there's something going on there. And then, like, your tinfoil hat theory says that Mobius is Loki too, but you're probably saying that Mobius is the same Loki as the future Loki. He's just, like, switching back and forth.
Well, so it's a loop, right? But every time they arrest Loki, it makes another Loki.
Oh, I see. they arrest a Loki, and then he escapes, and then so he has another Loki going on to do other stuff. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
but it's still the same Loki though. It's just he just keeps going further and further down this rabbit hole.
Uh, maybe
Oh, okay. If he's able to escape, I don't know.
each Loki kills the one that came before it, like the Prestige.
Oh Jesus, dude. Okay.
You like that one?
Then it becomes Jet Li, the one that movie.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so what is it? They he no, that's one that one's a little different where he's murdering all of his counterparts in different universes to get
Yeah,
more power.
yeah. It's a little bit different. Yeah.
What a what a movie.
What a throwback. What a great movie that was.
Yeah.
Um. So okay, yeah, that's basically it. That was the end of that episode. Did you have any other thoughts on this?
No, just looking forward to the next one and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, there's only 6 of these, so it's gonna go by pretty quickly, I think. I like this. I thought it was a great start, and we're gonna get to see some interesting things. I think some of the preview footage shows him Loki like leading other people, so maybe he'll incite a rebellion within the TVA or something. I don't know.
He's gonna run for president.
Run for president. Yeah, on his he's got a little thing on his at least on our overlay. He's got a
Yep.
Loki for president pin. So
Sounds like
yeah,
a plan.
awesome. Anyway, you want to move on to Bad Batch?
Yeah, let's talk Bad Batch.
All right, so Bad Batch, episode 7, uh, titled Battle Scars. This one, they're still working with Sid. I was like, oh, they're still working with Sid. Okay, they're gonna hang out here for a while. um, and this hooded figure comes to find them, and lo and behold, it is Captain Rex. Yay, Captain Rex! Yay, everybody, he's back. Um, from Clone Wars, and he says he found them via Trace and her sister. So I'm assuming this is who they were talking to at the end of the last episode on the Hollow emitter. Do
Hmm.
you agree or no?
Uh, yeah, why not?
Okay. So the only thing that I think it is, but the only thing is that like on the Hollow emitter, it looked like a Jedi robe, and Captain Rex's robes kind of looked more like Assassin's Creed type robes, not like Jedi robes. Um,
Okay, can you explain the difference?
the Jedi robes are looser and bigger to me. The Assassin's Creed robes seem to fit them more. Uh, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
That's just how I see it. I don't know. um, and Rex comes and he's checking up on them, and he recommends that they get their chips taken, their inhibitor chips taken out. And this is good timing because like last episode we had noticed that Wrecker seemed to be being influenced by his inhibitor chip. So then they go find
Yep.
this abandoned Venator class Star Destroyer to use the machinery in there to get their chips taken out or decommissioned, or I wasn't sure exactly what was happening. One of them decommissioned or taken out. Um, and
Did you watch the end of Clone Wars?
yeah, I did, but remind me.
So remember when they've captured Maul and they're on the Star Destroyer
Uh huh.
with and Ahsoka's there as well.
Uh huh.
And then Order 66 goes off and suddenly Ahsoka and Maul are on a Star Destroyer full of clones trying to kill them.
Uh huh.
And then Ahsoka finds Rex and takes out his chip.
I don't remember that, That's what happened. She took it clean out.
Yeah, she used her Jedi powers to like guide the scalpel or whatever.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So when he says I had help taking his chip out, that's what he means.
Okay. Okay. Um, but they don't have a Jedi with them to help them, so they have to use this machine.
Yeah, this was a little contrived, right? Because like it seems like there are two options, or a Star Destroyer like this, or Camino. It's like surely there are other medical facilities in the galaxy, right?
Yeah, but they're fugitives. I thought so. Their options are limited. No, yeah.
I don't know. Like they don't seem to be bothered on Orbital. There's other planets in the outer rim they could go to. Like I'm sure there are doctors out there who could be like, yeah, we'll take this chip out of you for a right price.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe they just didn't want to introduce other planets or something. I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of the planet, did you recognize it?
Was it Jakku?
No, it was um remember how I was telling you about Star Wars Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order?
Yep, yep.
So this is that opening planet I was telling you about with all the wrecked spaceships and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay. Um, at one point they were like attacked by this creature, and I was like, "Man, that's the creature from Lord of the Rings, the outside the mines of Moria." Yeah, it was like the same
Uh,
exact thing. It was like a creature in the water with like a bunch of tentacles and trying to
wait,
pull him in and stuff.
creature outside the mines of Moria.
Yeah,
We're not
remember
talking
when?
about the Balrog, right?
Yeah, the Balrog. Yeah, outside the mines.
No, the Balrog's like a giant ogre.
No, 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 no. Before they went into the mines.
Or they went into the mines. I
Remember
don't
they
remember
couldn't
any
open the
creature.
door, and then when Gandalf is trying to remember the password, they get attacked by the Watcher on the water. He's like the guard. He's like the gate guardian.
Hmm.
But he's just like this ugly, tentacly monster, and it looks pretty similar to the one in this episode.
All right, if you say so.
Okay, bro, you gotta watch Lord of the Rings again, man.
So the real, what it really is, it's the same creature that was in the Death Star in episode 4.
Uh, yeah, yeah. With the eyeball.
Yeah,
Okay,
the Dianaga.
Dianaga. Yeah. Um. Okay, so they help me out here. They used the machine on Wrecker, but it didn't really work. Because he succumbs to the
No,
chip.
they they don't start the procedure on time.
They
He
don't start it on time. Okay, because he was
yeah.
sitting there with his head in his hands, and he was already turning.
Yeah, and then Tech goes to put the thing on, and he's like, "No,
He's like, "No,
I killed you now."
they kill you now." Yeah, good soldiers follow orders.
Good soldiers follow orders.
So then he turns on the group, and this is exactly what we had talked about as a hypothetical last time, right?
Yep.
Where we had said, like, what if Wrecker took on the rest of the group? Who would win?
The answer is Rex.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Rex, Wrecker would have won.
Well,
um,
we found, but it's also like close quarters, right? We talked about that as well.
yeah, yeah. If he has close quarters, no range, he has a huge advantage. And then I think I said if Tech had like a some time to prepare, maybe he could have come up with something, but they had no time to prepare, and he was trying to do the machine anyway. So um, yeah, I thought when Wrecker got Omega on her own, and he was like closing in on her, I thought she was gonna do either like the Jedi mind trick, or she was gonna like lift him up with the Force or something.
Ah, I see you are subscribing to the force sensitive theory.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But
Um,
why not, right?
why not? Whenever somebody is in trouble, usually a Jedi saves the day. You know.
Hmm.
So
It's fair.
um, it could have been her. Oh, I had a question.
Mhm.
does she have a chip in her? They never really talked about that.
She says she doesn't.
She says she doesn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Did she say that this episode?
Yep.
Or oh, okay. Um. All right. So, and I guess that makes sense because she's not really a soldier, and like you said, according to the theory, she was kind of cloned, but she was like not part of the main assembly line or whatever. She was a special case.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like she was kind of a special project for Lamasu.
Yep. Okay. Who do you think at the end there was people spying on them and like some bounty hunters or something, and then they said notify the Empire? Are these like important characters, or is it just to let us know that oh shit, the Empire's coming?
Yeah, that's just the Scrappers Guild. Uh, they basically run the planet, just scrapping down stuff for scrap. And obviously they have a deal with the Empire, so the Empire's on their way, I'm sure.
Okay.
Maybe probably Crosshair's on his way.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So a showdown is coming. Um, they're hot on their trail. Uh, but I have no doubt our guys will come through.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. This ain't one of those Rogue One situations.
Well, um, I don't know. Do you think they'll be alive at the end of the series?
That's a good question. Now that after that came out of my mouth, then I'm like, oh, well, they might do like a thing where they sacrifice themselves so that Omega can live or something.
Hmm.
But I feel like this is more of like a kid oriented show, and I don't think they would do that.
Hmm. Um,
What do you
have you
think?
seen Clone Wars? Also Rebels?
Okay, yeah, Rebels was pretty kid oriented too, and it had
Yeah,
some pretty dark moments.
really kids-oriented Star Wars shows would be Resistance. That's like the most uh child-friendly, I would say.
Okay, that's the one I haven't seen anything of.
Yeah, I like the animation, but um it is pretty uh what's the pretty simplified.
Uh, yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty ABC, should we say?
Yeah, yeah. Not these complicated plots like we have in Mandalorian.
um, you have any other thoughts on this episode?
Uh I was hoping Omega would shoot the Dianaga with her bow to kind of like show that she's getting better at it. Uh, it it seems like it seems like the Bad Batch will team up with the Rebellion uh, at some point because Hunter's like just ask us and we'll be there anytime. So that means that they will come.
And Rex is pretty much in the rebellion right now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, the Empire's hot after their tail, so they're probably going to need to like get some help or hide out somewhere. Who can help them hide out? Well, the rebellion has lots of hideouts, right? So,
yeah.
yeah,
Easy.
easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, so that's seventh episode of Bad Batch Down. We got 9 more, I think. We've also got Loki coming up next. Loki episode 2 next week. Uh, Black Widow in about a month's time. So a lot of good Marvel, Star Wars, Disney stuff to look forward to. Um, what have you been watching this week that is not under that umbrella, Josh?
I finished binging Mr. Robot, which was amazing.
Oh, you finished the whole
Uh,
thing.
yeah, all 4 seasons.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah, it was worth it. No regrets. Really good. Um, that was kind of all I had time for though.
Okay. Still highly
Uh,
recommend. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely highly recommend. It's really interesting to pair that with um, Startup. Uh, kind of have some vague similarities.
Did you
Uh,
finish that one too?
Startup, yeah, I finished it.
Okay.
So what's next for me? Not sure. Got to find something new to watch. Um, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe you'll watch something that I've been watching. I was binging The Expanse.
Okay.
And I think I told you like I thought season 1 was kind of slow. I don't know if I was talking to you about that. So I thought this season 1 was kind of slow, and the beginning of season 2 was also kind of slow. But like by the end of season 2, it was picking up, and then season 3 was just like bonkers. He was just like warp 10 the whole way. Um,
Nice.
yeah. So and I'm at season 4 now, and the storyline is kind of like it's kind of like a new story because like the end of season 3 they kind of I don't know what the term is. Like they turned a corner, I guess, and like the game has changed. So
Mm.
it's a little bit different. So it's not as like balls to the wall, but it's still pretty good. Um, I saw The Whole Truth, this movie on Netflix with Keanu Reeves. I hadn't even never even heard of it. But the only reason I'm mentioning it is because it helped me increase the good kid counter by one. He is a lawyer and he's defending his friend's kid who killed his friend. Basically, the kid killed his own father. They don't actually specifically say the phrase "good kid," but they did say at one point he's a good student, and then later on they said he's a smart kid. So I'm gonna add those two together and say, yeah, they basically said it.
Yeah, it counts.
So that counts. So that increased the counter by one. Um, what else did I watch? I watched Halston on Netflix. Um,
Okay. Yeah, how was that?
it was okay. It was just something to watch. I wasn't that into it. Um, I didn't know he was a real guy. I thought it was a made up guy, but he's a real guy. Um,
Interesting.
and his life is kind of it follows a very, I guess, traditional, predictable arc. But
Mhm.
it,
Is it
it
like Wolf of Wall Street for fashion?
uh, a little bit, except he's not like as hyper successful as uh, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Hmm.
But it is pretty debauched, I guess I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That
oh yeah,
fashion
there's
industry.
warning like that show is not for kids. Halson, not for kids. Yeah. Yeah, even for adults, some parts of it were like, ooh, okay. So, yeah, just a warning for that, not for kids. Um, yeah, and then I started watching this miniseries El Cid. It's Spanish language. It's like about the the
It's about Elsa.
thrones. Yeah, it's about El Cid. It's about the thrones of Spain before Spain was a united kingdom. So like the mini
Yeah.
kingdoms. I don't know if I'm gonna
Yeah.
finish that. It's not that. It was kind of confusing. Everybody. I'm sorry to say this, but everybody kind of looked the same.
Yikes. Is that a commentary on the incest of the time period?
Kind of. I mean, there's like two brother kings, and they're both kings of like neighboring territories. And then I was just like, the whole time, I'm like, wait, which king is this? Like, which king is this? Because they look the same, their hairstyles the same. And it was just like, and then like, there's like a bunch of the younger generation guys, like, and I couldn't tell like the two sons from their cousin. The only people I could tell apart were like the women because there was like the queen, she's a little bit older. There was like her daughter who had dark hair, and then the other like main character woman had blonde hair. So it's like I don't know what maybe that says like I'm really bad at differentiating characters, but it was just kind of hard to like uh, figure them all out. I guess I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep going with it.
Yeah, I know about Elsa from uh Age of Empires too.
Is that part of like the storyline in the
Yeah, he
book
has a
or in the
campaign.
game? Oh, okay, nice. Um, so yeah, probably gonna finish watching The Expanse. I want to catch up on Handmaid's Tale because the last season is airing right now, and then I'm probably gonna start binging Mr. Robot since it's based on the recommendation of some guy named Josh. So yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Nice. By the way, speaking of recommendations, I saw a little bit of the first episode of Invincible.
Oh, what'd you think? Oh, you
Uh,
didn't finish it. You didn't see the end of the first episode.
no, I didn't see the end.
Oh, the
So
end is what it's all about, dude.
it seems like very similar to Jupiter's Legacy, same kind of concept. But yeah, we'll see. See what it turns into.
Okay. Yeah, it starts out like that, but it's okay. Yeah, I'll just wait. I'll just wait till you watch the rest.
Okay.
Um. Okay. Yeah. So that was it for this week. We'll be back next week with Loki and more Bad Batch. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.